And this panel is on exploring opportunities in the United States and an overview. And this panel is focused on helping you to land that educational opportunity in the United States and also sharing experiences just like we've had from the first panel. And on this panel, we have 4 amazing and brilliant individuals who will be championing the conversations that I'll be having on this panel. I'm really, truly looking forward to speaking to them today. So without wasting any more of our time, let me welcome very quickly, in no particular order, I'll be welcoming our panelists on this session. I'll be welcoming Mrs. Omobola Ajao, who has over a decade of expertise in the upstream and manufacturing industries, having served in both engineering and leadership roles. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Texas A&M University and a master's degree in petroleum engineering from the University of Houston. And beyond her professional accomplishments, she's a dedicated wife and a mother of 3. Brilliant. I'd like to welcome you, Mrs. Omobola Ajao. And next on our panel today is another really, truly brilliant individual that will be sharing with us today. Next on our panel is Mr. Adedokun Adewole. Mr. Adedokun Adewole is the head of finance at Casper Media LLC, and he owns and distributes Noir TV, an American multinational premium cable channel, to approximately 21 million paid television households in the United States and around the world. Mr. Adedokun Adewole co-founded Casper Media after completion of his MBA degree program from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 2009. And he also holds a bachelor's degree from Lincoln University, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, Mr. Adedokun Adewole. And next on our panel today is another truly remarkable individual who will be sharing with us today. This one is a very extensive bio. Mrs. Oladoyin Taiwo is a highly accomplished marketing and corporate communications leader with over 16 years of experience driving brand transformation, business growth, and social impact. In her current role, she spearheads strategic initiatives to enhance brand identity, boost audience engagement, and deliver innovative marketing solutions that align with organizational goals. She's passionate about mentorship and professional development, and she's the visionary behind the Evolving Women Academy, where she empowers individuals to excel in their personal and professional journeys. She also serves as a mentor with the Women in Market Management, Business, and Public Service, which is WIMBIZ. I'm sure we all know WIMBIZ, and the American Marketing Association, the Chicago chapter, where our guidance has shaped countless successful careers. Our insights and contributions have been featured in publications like Business Day. Yes, of course, I work with Business Day, so I love that. Guardian Women newspaper, and Leading Ladies Africa. Our professional affiliations include the American Marketing Association and the Chartered Institute of Marketing, membership. She also has collaborated with top organizations such as the U.S. Consulate, Africa for Her, Fifth Year Consulting, and others, and she's leveraged her expertise to foster growth, innovation, and impact. She's an author. She's penned 4 professional books, 2 children's titles, reflecting our dedication to inspiring and educating diverse audiences. And she's recognized as a dynamic speaker and author. She's driven by a commitment to excellence, creativity, and meaningful change. I will stop there, but this is the material we're working with today. Our panelists are truly brilliant panelists. And last, but certainly not least on our panel today is Opejin. She is a highly accomplished professional with expertise in project management, urban planning, and sustainability. And she has a robust academic background and over a decade of experience in leading complex projects. She specializes in delivering strategic solutions that drive organizational success and urban development. And she holds a PhD in sustainability and has a proven track record in managing multidisciplinary teams across various sectors, including infrastructure, environmental sustainability, and policy implementation. And as a certified project management professional and American Institute of Certified Planners member, she's committed to advancing innovation, efficient processes, and long-term growth in urban systems and communities. And those are our panelists today, and they will be helping us to explore opportunities in the USA. The reason why we had to read their bio is for you to see the amount, the kind of knowledge that you are to expect from this panel, because they have vast experience across different sectors, a very enriching panel, and they will be sharing with us today. Three women, one man, they'll be sharing with us today. So if our panelists are here, I'd like to see a thumbs up. Let's get into the conversation. Thank you all for your time today. Thank you all of you, for all of you who have been here from the start. We truly, truly appreciate you. But these conversations have been truly enriching. So if you have our panelists, please indicate. All right, looks like we have them already. So let me start in no particular order with Mr. Dokun. I understand that we have all of them. First of all, okay, I'll start by asking you, Mr. Dokun, what are some of the what's it like gaining opportunities in the United States in terms of getting opportunities for education and work and all of that? Because you've had different degrees in the United States, studying and then working in the United States. Oftentimes people think it's hard to gain this opportunity. People think entering into the United States to even study, I mean, people think the UK is like the faster or easier option. But what's it like to gain an educational opportunity in the United States, and how were you able to gain ground? Mr. My panelist, it would be nice to see the panelists on the screen for every single one who's here. It'd be nice to see everyone. And Mr. Dokun, please.
My apologies. I guess I was still on mute. I actually did not even know that. Yeah, so thank you for your question. In thinking about it, I've been to two educational institutions here in the US, which is both undergraduate and graduate. And to me, sometimes when you've been through the process, everything looks straightforward compared to before you went into the process. But I believe the once you get your admission, right, it's the admission, the financing of the education, and then getting the ability to actually leave Nigeria, right? The visa process, I think, is the three components. And I feel like the admissions, I mean, there are many schools depending on what you want to do. And the admissions, I feel like is a relatively, I mean, there's a process to it, and there are people that do those processes. But once you know the process, it's relatively straightforward, I believe. I mean, I think, there are enough schools that you can try your different options. And then, once you get into it, it's really the financing that becomes the more critical part. So if you have that nailed down, that's good. Um, when I was an undergrad, I was fortunate to have a substantial portion of my tuition costs covered by scholarships, and I only had to come up with the balance, so that was helpful. And when I went to grad school, um, I the one thing I would say about grad school and business school is that sometimes people I well, it's been a couple years, so some things may have changed. But the one thing that I noted, at least when I saw people later on, is that sometimes people try to take the cheapest, like the most, well, not cheapest, the most affordable schools they see. But I think you should also consider whether the school has like programs like scholarships or even like, partners that provide like student loans to foreign students, because there's some schools, they're not necessarily the most affordable, but they already have established financing partners that provide student loans to like foreign students. So I think that's the only thing that I've seen that I think would be different. But aside from that, once you go through the school system, for the most part, well, we'll see how that changes going forward. But so a large part, you have an not equal, because you're not a citizen, and but you have a very good chance of like finding a job that will hopefully help you with going through all the next steps of immigration. But I'll just I don't know how much I should say or not say, based on the question, but I think that kind of addresses it, and I'm available for follow-up. I'll let other people speak too.
Yeah. We'll come back to you because there's so many questions that we want to ask you. So I'll come to you, Mrs. Omobola Ajao. Why did you decide to study in the United States? What was it for you?
That's a $1 million question. A millionaire, billionaire question. First of all, thank you so much for this platform. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure being here. So whatever I can do to provide any valuable insights to anyone that wants to come, that's my goal. And I hope I am helpful to anyone. So you already gave my background, so we'll just get right into it and not to maximize time. So why did I come to the US? When I graduated school, high school, secondary school, I actually was off for 1 year. I was trying to get into school, do jam, and then I did my diploma. That's actually when I met the owner of this platform. I did my diploma in economics in University of Houston, University of Lagos, Unilag. So, but it's so interesting that even after I finished secondary school, it wasn't on the radar for my family to send someone to the US. It's not like that's been the plan for all the children or anything. But one of my dad's friends just reached out to my dad and just randomly said, "Hey, I heard you say your daughter just finished secondary school. Have you considered sending her to the US?" My dad was like, "Wait, what? I mean, how? I've not planned the finances. This is just totally new. No one has done it. I mean, it was just a shock." But then my dad sat back, and my family, my dad and my mom sat back, and they said, "Hey, maybe this is not a bad idea after all." And I remember my dad calling me and said, "Hey, are you interested?" And I said, "Oh, I mean, it's going to the US, right? It's a good opportunity." But my dad said, "You have to be the one to do the legwork. You have to be the one to figure it out. And no one has the ropes. No one knows what to do." But I usually consider that man a godsend to really change the trajectory, or maybe that's God's plan all along. So that's how I came to the US. It was just an idea that was sent to my parents, and I thank God for my parents taking on that challenge to send me to the US. So the whole process, even from figuring out what schools to apply for, I think that man, my dad's friend, really helped streamline that process. And basically all he did was give me 10 schools. He gave me, at least he narrowed it down. So one thing about the US is, I mean, it's vast, it's big in terms of culture, in terms of weather, in terms of schools. So it depends on whatever you want. And I think as of that time, his daughters were here and they were in engineering. So I think I was leaning towards that area as well. So he gave me some schools, 10 schools that he thinks were good engineering schools. And my job from there, he said, go figure it out, go research. And I did my research. I mean, used that time, internet as much as possible, figure out what schools I wanted to do my SAT and send my SAT scores to. And that was how I applied. And I really, for me, no one had traveled, no one had been to the US. I mean,
wow.
It was big. I really look back and I'm really grateful for my parents. I think about it for my children. I don't know if I hope I'm that godful and courageous to do that for my children, but times have changed maybe. So I remember applying to 4 schools. I applied to Texas A&M University, Morgan State University, and some other schools. And I am a proud A&M person. A&M people are they're loud, they're proud, they talk a lot for people that know them. But one thing that really stood out for me for Texas A&M was that I would remember calling them, their responses to managing my expectation being an international student. Where will I house? I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I just don't know anybody. And their responses were just comforting, even for my parents, to feel so safe letting me go. And I remember even talking to another school, I would say in New York, and they were direct. And in retrospect, now that I've been here, it wasn't really I wouldn't consider it a bad thing, but it's just a culture difference. In the North, they're very straightforward. They would just no comfort feeling, no trying to make you feel good one way or the other. They're just direct. This is it. This is it. No, but in the South, where you have Texas and you have Florida, you have Alabama, Louisiana, they have the Southern hospitality. So you could reflect that in their voice. And for me, that was actually very clear. And my mom was like, okay, I'm not going to send you up there because we are not up there. We're going to maybe consider Texas A&M. And that was how I chose Texas A&M University. They were very warm. They were their process, they were ready to help. Even when I got my admission and trying to come here, they said they'll come pick me up at the airport. The airport was in Houston. Houston is about an hour and a half from College Station. And so there was no way I was going to get to College Station. So they had plans in place to come pick me up from the airport and drive me to College Station. So all of those steps really made the decision to choose that school very helpful. And I'm glad I did. So anyways, that's my long story leaving the U.S.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing the experience. It's very interesting. Like, it feels like such a journey that's brought you this far, and it's so interesting to hear that. Also, would like to thank you all for joining. I know it's nighttime in the United States and you are here tonight because it's afternoon here. You're here at nighttime. So we truly appreciate your time today. We don't take it for granted. So I will come to you now, Ms. Oladoyin Taiwo. I want to ask you as well, what are some of the peculiarities? What are the peculiarities of schooling and working in the United States? I guess the dynamics will certainly be different. The dynamics studying in Nigeria will certainly be different from studying in the United Kingdom. It will certainly be different from studying in the United States. So, because the people that we have on this summit are people that are prospectively trying to get admission into some of this. So I'll ask you, Ms. Oladoyin Taiwo, to share your experience with us. Okay.
Good evening from your end. So it's morning on my own end. It's 5:45 a.m. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I would say that from my experience, I didn't do my undergraduate in the US, so I came in as a more advanced student because I came in from my MBA back then in 2011 when I first attended school here. And for me, I think that the dynamics or the differences for me, the experiences were different. But I didn't feel out of place because the school I'd attended in Nigeria was also like it didn't do much for me in terms of maybe my mindset because I'd attended a private university in Nigeria. So it was something that I found a good balance when I had already arrived at the in the United States, and I found that my experiences in terms of study were relatable because of the opportunity that I had to have attended the kind of school that I'd attended earlier back in Nigeria. And I would say every time that I always tell people when, oh, would you share your experience on how you came? All of us came with different paths. So I came in as an international student, as I mentioned, and I never came in through a scholarship. So my experiences for gathering information for school would probably be different from someone who is looking for funding, who is looking for scholarships and all of that. So my experience of also finding schools was also very different in terms of the paths that I went through, in terms of the kind of research or the kind of information that I did all the old 9 yard GRE, GMAT, TOEFL and all that because I was just bent on, you know what, the next phase of my life, I want to go abroad to study. The abroad part of it, I wasn't even sure. I was in the middle of the UK or the US, but my mom had lived in the UK growing up. So she was like, oh no, there was nothing there for you. So I think it's best that you go to the US. So that's how the decision was actually the decision to study abroad was tailored for me. So it wasn't exactly like I made that decision. So so I would say that that's just my own experience and my journey so far. And the differences that I've seen, I think that because of the environment, learning is actually more easier. Learning is not as hard as it used to be back home. Like I was listening to the
Wow.
session for the UK one where you don't have to cram, you don't have to like open book exams and all of that, but it goes to show that education can be very advancing, and it's very important that whatever it is that you need to get from it, it's always good that you prepare. So that's what my own experience would be and how I would share that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your own unique experience. I mean, from starting from you, Mr. Adedokun Adewole, to you, Mrs. Omobola Ajao, to you, Mrs. Oladoyin Taiwo. It's been different across board, and it's truly enriching. So I'll go to my next panelist today, Dr. Nike Opejin. We also want to hear from you as well, your own unique experience. But on your end, what advice do you have for international students who wish to stay in the USA after graduation, either for work or for the studies? What would be your advice?
I have the easiest question. I know that's the easiest question, right? Especially with this new administration coming in. Anyways, good morning. Nice to be here. Um, yeah, I envy you guys, Dokun, Bola, and Dodi. It's 4:46 a.m. here, so I literally got out of bed 3:30. Anyways, so
we appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm just saying that when you are far away in Arizona, you don't mix with the world of other states in the US. So, anyways, so nice to be here. Very good question. I'll say that like all the other panelists have said, everybody have different pathways, and I always encourage people to be open-minded because I can come in and tell you this is my experience. My experience might be so different from yours. And so if you want to follow my path the way I followed it, I may be, you may be shortchanging yourself on some opportunities. And so anyone that knows me know that I'm a open-minded market. I call myself a market woman. Even with a PhD, I don't care. I've done catering job. I had a catering contract for a year. I catered. During COVID, when everyone was running away from COVID, I catered for a year in my apartment for 60 people. So be open-minded. Coming to the years for me, it's a little different. I came in on scholarship, full funding, and the
Okay, we don't have
goal.
your audio anymore.
Oh, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, coming to the US, like I said, I came in on full scholarship. because that was the goal. There was no way I was going to afford to pay a dime. So we joke around that, we are not indigent students. Our scholarships are merit to compete for you, because I was a graduate assistant, teaching assistant, research assistant for like 7 years. The same for the whole thing. I'm like, okay, here we come, Arizona. I never knew what Arizona looks like. People told me it's very hot. It's close to Mexico. That's all I knew. I came in and I was shocked how hot it was. But it's been a good experience since then. Now, coming back to the question of staying after graduation, I always tell people that go in with the mindset of, I think it was easier for our generation than before the mass exodus of people from Nigeria, because when we came in, we were not desperate to stay. And it made things easier for us. It made decisions easier to make. There was no desperacy. I wasn't looking around for, yeah, I have to have green card this year or next year or anything. My goal was just, I was laser focused on my studies, right? And, I incidentally, my husband came in, I think after my second year, and he wanted to go to a Nigerian church, quote unquote. We went, there were a lot of people that advised me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, there were a lot of advice about changing to nursing program. Oh, you can get a job with what did you say you're studying again? Environmental what? And there were a lot of advice about changing to nursing. I actually have an uncle that said I should join military. There were different paths that were in front of me, but I was just laser focused on where I was going and what I came here to do. I came on scholarship. My uncle of blessed memory, I told someone that told me to drop out of the PhD program. I said my uncle will get up out of his grave and be very angry at me if I ever do that. And Dokun knows Daddy will rise up. I will say that I came here, even from my master's, I put myself out there with my professors. Like, I would not be in the department for something, I would not be lobbying for anything. They would recommend me because they saw the diligence, they saw the drive. And the drive wasn't, oh, you have to keep me here. It was just, I just needed to prove myself. I'm the only Black kid in my class, and I'm from Africa. Sometimes you think part of your brain is Black. And so you have to prove yourself. And so I was just there to prove myself and put myself out there, volunteer in projects, do stuff that people would not readily volunteer themselves for. And I know my friends will look at me and like, are you crazy? You have a kid, you have a husband, and you're doing all these a million things. And I would jump on opportunities. I was doing my PhD. There were opportunities to do certificate programs during as a PhD student and pay nothing. I did GIS certificates, I did water management certificates. I was just doing all manner of crazy stuff. Well, it paid off because by the time I was ready to do my NIW grade, whatever we call that stuff that we do, national interest waiver for our green card, by the time I sent my CV to someone to evaluate, we were like 7 in our class that sent our CV. I was the only one that qualified at that time because it was based on citation you had from your publications. Well, all the publication I had was from volunteering myself on projects that will take a lot of my time. So like I said, everybody has their own path, but when you come in, I will advise you, be open-minded, don't be too desperate. People will advise you on all manner of stuff. Whatever you think about, whatever you can think about, they will advise you, but you have to be focused and know what you're doing. I don't know if I answered that question. I talk a lot, so you have to cut me off when you need to.
Oh, okay. Now I know. Thank you. But you did well to answer the question, and you even answered another question which I was going to ask you, which is about, gaining permanent residency and all of that. But what my takeout from what you've said is just how you were able to put yourself out there volunteering for projects and just making sure that your track record was good. And that just gave you all of the opportunities that came your way. So my next question now will be for you, Mr. Dokun Adewole. And this question is bordering around diversity and inclusion. How would you, talk about some of the challenges, or maybe you've had any encounters, related to discrimination or bias? How were you able to navigate them? Have you had any of such experiences, and how are you able to navigate?
It's tricky for me because I can't recall any truly bad experience with discrimination. I went to a HBCU for undergrad, which is a historically Black college. So first off, everyone was Black. Um, I've noticed people, separate Black from African as two different things, which, is kind of funny, but, so I guess in that, yes, man, you just have to push forward. I mean, I don't think there's any, I mean, you're constantly proving yourself, and sometimes you can't always separate, how much of it is, coming from Nigeria, we're not like used to discrimination. I mean, we're used to tribalism and we know what tribalism is. And I guess discrimination is, if you is basically tribalism in a different type of way. So I mean, you see it, but you're trying to solve the problem in front of you. You can't change the world, so you just kind of push through it. And because sometimes you can't always tell, is this just because me, I'm not doing as well as I can, I'm not doing my best in this particular situation, or is this person being discriminatory, right? And you can't always like tell that, separate those two things. And well, I feel like it's rare. It may not be rare going forward that, you have situations where you can clearly separate, oh, I'm not doing my very best in this particular situation from this person is just like being discriminatory. So to me, every time I've seen it personally, I've just been like, I just need to put out more effort and not even, be in a position where, we're questioning this. But yeah, it definitely does exist. It's not, but the thing I'll say to people from Nigeria is that there's tribalism in Nigeria too. So
Yeah.
I mean, the world is the world. The world goes round, and you just have to press forward, just as you would in Nigeria if people are being tribalistic. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like there's tribalism everywhere, so you have to develop that thick skin and just keep it moving. So my next question will be for you, Mrs. Omobola Ajao. I mean, you have stayed a long time from studying undergraduate, postgraduate, working, and all of that. So how are you able to manage how were you able to manage your academic workload now, because you're speaking to people who are prospective students as well, alongside your personal life and work? How are you able to navigate across these three different areas of life?
When I was starting off in school or now?
When you were starting off in school and now?
So when I was in school, I mean, I think Nick has said it and everyone has alluded to it. Everybody's path is different, but then there's still some underlying themes that you can pick from everybody. There's still some things that still you can see across that are somewhat common. So I did not have scholarship when I came in. So first year of school was 100% international student fees. So you can think of it. And then, but the second year I was thinking, oh, my parents cannot sustain this. So one thing in Texas, I don't know if it's across every other state, if you get $1,000 scholarship, you automatically qualify for in-state tuition. So going from, let's say, 10,000 per semester, you just automatically begin to pay like maybe about 2,000. So that's a big discount. And so for me, a way to support was also to find a job on campus. So I could work 20 hours. I started working in the library. They were paying minimum wage. So like, I mean, maybe now if I said the amount, $5, $5.25 per hour, then it was small times 20. But then I knew I needed to do that. And so I worked, but then I still needed to keep my academic progress because I needed to sustain the scholarship that I got to meet the GPA. And also at the same time, one thing in American society, American school is they are big on extracurricular activities. So see what Nika was saying, she was out there, but she still needed to keep her academic excellence, but they are big on volunteering, on leadership qualities, on so whatever you can do to gain leadership experience, volunteering experience, extracurricular activities, it really pays off in the long run. So I needed to still do that. So it was a bit of balancing, but for me, I was focused. I was focused on what I know I needed to get at the end of all this process. So I worked, I went to school, I tried to have good grades, and at the same time, I was very involved in the African Student Association. I was involved in the National Society of Black Engineers, Women's Society of Women Engineers. So all of this paid off in the long run. So to balance everything, I mean, you just need to also have a network of people. I think that also helped me. You need your own tribe. You need your own people to be able to leverage, to learn from each other, to be able to help you out with, I mean, in A&M or in school, one thing that needs you, the way you pick your professor affects your studies. If you pick a bad professor, you're going to be struggling the whole semester. So you need to learn from other people, okay, what professor should I pick from this course? And that would only come when you have that tribe of people that you can leverage their past learnings. And also network. I know we throw that word out there very easily, but network just basically means building relationships. If you meet someone, just try to stay in touch. You don't know when that will come. And I'll say for my last 2 jobs, actually, piggyback into what I do now, my last 2 jobs that I've gotten is being from someone saying, hey, I know you've done good. So I see this job within my company. Would you apply? And then I applied, and they also gave a word for me within the company, like, hey, I'm referencing this person. So because your own track record is also very good, and someone referenced you or referred you for a job, everything just matches, and it helps you out in the long run. So network, have your tribe of people, be involved in extracurricular activities, and I think for American system, you're able to balance all these moving parts and still excel, really helps you in the long run. I mean, black or no black, your work will always speak for itself. So I think you just keep doing what you're doing and make sure that in addition to academic work, please try all the community work you do, being in church, whatever you're doing, being active, you leading this summit, you can highlight it as an activity that you do, and it shows your leadership capabilities. So yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Academic work, community work, every single thing that you do, it all comes together nicely for your academics. Thank you so much for that submission. So my next question will be for you, Mrs. Oladoyin Taiwo, and I'll be coming to you now because people want to come in to study and they're wondering, oh, gotten all of this advice, because every single thing that every single one of you has been sharing today is advice and for prospective international students and how to apply, things you need to know and all of that. But I want you to share your personal experience, academic experience, cultural experience that you might want to share with, and from your own standpoint, your personal academic and cultural experience, that's one that really stands out for you as a student that in the United States, that you might want to share to the prospective student, that you might want to tell them, this happened to me, I don't want this to happen to you, or this happened to me, and I think it would be good if you experience it too. So do you want to share that personal experience with us?
Okay. I would say that with the path that I went through, it comes with its own challenges also. Like I can't remember. I think it was Omobola that mentioned that I can't remember who said that don't just speak like, or was it Mr. Dokun that mentioned about don't just speak of school because of the amounts or something that they already have some things provided for. And I'll share with that. So I'll link that to my experience. So I, for one, I got my first admission. I went through an agent when I was coming to, because I was working 9 to 5. And you know, with Nigerian traffic, you come back like you're spent. And what time do I have in the world to then start looking for American school or something? I'm like, no, I'm just going to pay anything. I hate DIYs. So I'm always giving people to do anything that they need to do in my life. Like I just cannot be stressed about it. So it's so I'd outsourced this to an agent and I got a school in University of Nebraska. And I was like, Nebra, where? Like, I don't know where that is. But all my family members from, I think I would say in the last 45 years, they've always lived in Chicago. So it just makes sense that I automatically just come to a city where already, and by this time my mom had moved from the UK she'd moved from the UK to Chicago to join her other sisters and my cousins. So then I'd applied. Someone also mentioned about going to church. Okay, that was Nike,
Yes,
about
that was
going to church. So I'd applied and my first time in visiting the church that I attended then. Oh, I was talking to them about, I got an admission in Nebraska, but I'm looking to move my admission to Chicago and all that. So they had recommended a school and it was a private university. So all of that funds, all of those things did not come with it. So it meant that I was my own student advisor. I was my own student researcher. Like everything that I had to do, I always had to come up with, there's this opportunity. How do I apply for it? I was there in that school and they had changed student advisor 6 times in my how many years of being on that. I'm like, what? So this gen became personal to me. And one of the disadvantage of what that led to was when I had submitted my OPT, these people missed the deadline because they weren't paying attention because they kept changing people in that role. So it meant that every time I had any challenge, every time I had anything, and that's one experience that I would not in my world want anybody to experience. So I'm like, if you see some private schools, so when they say come and go for this class acts thing of writing against the school and all that, I recently got $500 check from them because you cannot stress me and not pay me for that. So so I did all of those research. The school I went and then I called my dean. I was like, oh, you missed my OPT and now the home office is USCIS is telling me that I had to go back to my own country because of this and all of that. And what this lady told me, I know that we had asked Mr. Adedokun about diversity and racial stuff. This white woman looks me in the face and tells me, oh well, go back to your home country. I'm like, do you know what that means? I spent hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in your school, and now you're asking me to go back just like that. But like Nika said, I came at a time where it wasn't a point of desperation for me. It wasn't a do or die affair. I belong to those people that used to say, see, if this place is not doing, I'm going to go back to Nigeria and that will be it. And which I did. I actually did go back to Nigeria from 2015 to 2023. I recently just
wow.
got back last year. Yeah. I went back to Nigeria. I'm like, nobody's chasing me. I had a good job there and it's not that deep. So it's not for some people, it's and I had people that I also that came in at that time through me. I was telling my former housemate then that coming back and looking at how desperate people were, I can see how those impacts of desperation had affected their personal life now like years later, desperation, you have married the first wife, married the second wife, you have children with different people under the name of getting a green card or something. Like it's not that deep. Anywhere that God plants your leg, just trust him and all that. And how I was able to those experiences actually just shaped. I know that people had called me then and said that I should apply for nursing. I'm like, I even ate blood in real life. Like, why would I become a nurse? Because, but I just focused on what I'd come to the US to do, which was my MBA in marketing, which I eventually did. And fast forward to me coming back to the country in 2023, it's those transferable skills that I currently used in getting the current job that I work in. And I just sold myself because I'm in marketing. Of course, you need to be able to do that if that's what you do. And I was able to put those transferable skills to work. And that's where I got my current job from. And those are the experiences that I would say that has shaped my own journey so far. And in saying that, I didn't have the opportunity to work in school because my school had limited opportunities also for international students. So luckily for me, the same church I attended, they had called me up and said, "Oh, we heard about your track record. We want you to volunteer." So as God would have it, it was the church that paid my full MBA funds. And
Wow.
I'm back here with no student loan, with nothing. And it's been a ride. So that's the summary of how I would put that to.
Wow, that's a very interesting story, very unique, and it also still it goes back to some of the submissions that the other panelists have made about, you know, your community, understanding everyone's individual path as being different, and then because you talked about, I was going to ask a question about student loans and all of that, but then there is you also speaking about the fact that you got your fully funded education from the church. That's the community that you were a part of. So that's really interesting. And thank you for sharing your own submissions with us. So my next question will be for you, Dr. Nike. Speaking of cost of living and financial planning, this is something that every single person here will want to know, because I mean we're talking about dollars now. So how can you plan your finances for studying in the United States? I mean, what advice do you have for intending students about managing expenses, tuition, other costs? Do you have any advice that will be helpful for us today?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. You know, things have changed from 2013 when we came in. When I came in 2013, a dollar was 165 naira. I still have it on my passport, and that breaks my heart every time I look at it. And I came into this country with 3,500, and you need to see like the pulling of weight from my brother, my sister, my family, just to get that 3,500 at the rate of 165. So talk about today, 1,800. I have a sister-in-law that lives with me, and she's the one. I don't put my credit card on anything. My cards on. So she's the one. I made her download all these app that used to send money to Nigeria, and I call her my malam. Malam, how much is money today? And she'll tell me 1,780, and my heart will sink inside of me. Like really, like this is crazy. So my advice financially is you know, I do work with a lot of students. I used to. I stopped doing it because I think I'm getting older and I need some peace and quietness. But the truth is that I always feel pained to see people come here to pay school fees with Naira. And I know parents really means well. And when I was doing this advising for people, if you're not financially capable, which I always even do question, I would never advise anyone to come for undergrad here, honest to God. Just because not a lot of scholarship exists out there for undergrad. HCB as historically Black colleges can be, you know, they can be affordable. But again, when you check that rates with the Naira rate that you're going to use to pay this money, again, it's a little, because then you're looking at school fees, just school fees, and then you have not even factored in you know, living expenses and health insurance and all those crazy things that will come. So I'm always very, like, I did an admission for one girl at some point. She's a daughter of one of my professors back in Nigeria. And they said, yeah, we'll pay it, we'll be fine. I'm like, I hope you understand what we're talking about because I know how much a professor earns, right? Well, it turned out she came in $16,000 per semester, a school in Texas. They could not. I had to, I had to pull my weight to make sure that girl doesn't fall out of status. I had to like do everything. And this is my advice. If you ever come in on that kind of um note, you came in, yes, you knew you had that high balance, and you knew that, I love Nigerians. They believe so much in God. And I do believe in God. I have faith. You can have faith that just go, we'll pay it. Man, I don't want parents to have high blood pressure. Running around, especially 18 years old, 19, 17, coming to, college for the first time, the parents are probably under immense pressure. Because if you're a graduate student, I will tell you come in. Even if they give you 5,000, come in. You will work your ass off to pay that school fees. And the good thing about the US is that there's a lot of opportunities. And I always tell people, like I said in the beginning, put yourself out there, doing just shit something that shocked me. I've never heard that before. That is a church paid as school fees. I've never heard that before. So those are the things we're talking about. Those are the unique opportunities that exist here that I'm always proud about. I'm always proud of about this country. So when you come in on high balance as an undergrad, I always advise you, well, don't quote me to USCIS, change to a community college. I have sister-in-laws that I did admission for. They came in on masters. They changed to community college. She's almost done with her nursing program. I always joke about sharing her salary when she starts collecting money. Um, you know, and she's able to, like the first semester, my husband and I paid her school fees for the first semester. But if you know me, I'm a tough love person. I kept telling her, I said, hey, go to your advisors in school, go and be kneeling down. I'm not paying school fees next semester. I would not give you a dime to pay that because that was like $5,000 one semester between my husband and I. I'm like, we are not paying that next semester. You better go talk to your advisor, tell them you are looking for a job, you're an indigent student, whatever story you need to cook up. Well, she got a job as a math tutor because she's very good at math, and she's been a math tutor since then. She pays her school fees. She lives for free in my house. She doesn't pay for feeding. That's a win-win. So yeah, there's a soft landing part if you have someone somewhere. Not a lot of people cannot, I mean, a lot of experience with having people in your space. But think about the the whole universe of what is in front of you before you make that decision. For graduate student, don't be lazy. Look, I know about 100 schools in this country that will give you full ride. Even for MBA, I've helped a lot of people with MBA. I just had someone who is like a high flyer. His holder is like in his 40s. They gave him, I've never seen someone getting a 95% scholarship. I said they should have given you just 100% because the remaining 5% is about $5,000. Like, really? That's a free ride for crying out loud. So you can pay with your brain, like I said in the first place. As a graduate student, a lot of Nigerians have spoken, they don't want to do GRE. And if they do GRE, they want to do at-home tests where we know what is going on with at-home tests. People are doing it for you. Schools have known that. My school will not take at-home tests anymore. So you need to like be able to sit down and do your due diligence, do all your exams, write your SOP. We're in the world of AI. People are using AI to write SOPs. And I read SOPs and I'm like, good job, AI. Good job, AI. I know, because it's not even personalized. It's like very generic, very, not even respectful of the person that will read it because I'm not dumb. I know when AI writes something and when you write something. So having all those things together and looking for schools that have funding, like I said, there are a lot of schools, putting yourself out there, there are a lot of networks and all those stuff, making sure that you get at least some soft landing with funding. This is not UK. You are not able to work off campus. So if you work on campus, was it Oyin that said they paid her $5? Bola was, $5. Yeah, $5. $5 is crazy. Right now it's going to be $13 or $14. that doesn't pay your house rent. It doesn't. So you need to be able to think about things. And then in terms of coming in, people will tell me, I don't want to share space. I just want to have my own room. I will laugh. And I'd be like, by next month, by the second or third month, I will ask you that question again. And you will tell me if you still want to live by yourself or you are ready to share space. Even as someone that has a family, when I was in college, I couldn't afford to pay my condo. I had to rent out a room to somebody else who is from Chad and will cook and use like 10 onions to cook, and the whole house will be smelling like Malam house. But those are the price we pay to get to where we're going to. And it doesn't sting you. It doesn't define where you're going. You have a whole lot of opportunity ahead of you. But just think about it very well before you choose and make any decision to get on the plane.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nike. I mean, think about it before you make any decision to get on the plane. But there are always lots of sacrifices to make. I mean, look at you. You talked about from 2013, we're talking about 100 and they say 160 or 165, but now we're talking about 1,800. That's a far cry from where we were at 2013. So it's a big decision that one has to really think through and be ready for all that it comes about. And thank you for sharing your own unique experience, your unique perspective as well. We'll be closing this session soon, so I'd like to get your parting shot, every person's parting shot. I'll be starting with, let me start with Mrs. Omobola for your parting shot to us today. Let's talk about the future trends of what the educational system in the United States for international students will be, and your parting shots on and advice.
I don't know what the future will be. I think trending from the past, it seems like we're still on track. They're still accepting international students. So, you know what? Nikki had said it's 2-year evaluation. Make sure that you have a plan when you come here. But I think the US is quite lucrative and generous to international students. Be hopeful, come here, hustle, bring all your transferable skills. No knowledge is lost, and network with people. That is super important. And all the best. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adedokun.
I think, the thing I'll say is I think, with Trump coming, people might be apprehensive, but the US, there's always opportunity. So you just need to keep pressing and, find the unique. I think one thing that's coming out is that, there are some generalities in how to do things, but, everybody's path is unique. So just find the path that is unique for you, and, you'll make everything work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adedokun. Dr. Nike.
Well, I think I've said so many things today, and I don't know what else to say than coming to this point of make sure you pray and pray very well, and seek God's face about the smallest decision that you could think about making, because they could make a lot of difference, like just having the leading and the hands of God in what you do. So don't follow the trend. Like, this is what people are doing. This is what people are doing. Sit with yourself. Sit with God. Ask questions. I remember coming to Arizona and someone asked me, do you have anyone in Arizona? No. Have you ever been to Arizona? No. So how would you survive there? I don't know, but I know God is with me. But today I can tell you for sure that God is with me. And this is 10 years after. And I still live in the same city. I'm a very, very, I'm on a scale. I'm on that spectrum. If I'm checked out on autism or something like that, I probably am on the spectrum. I hate change. So I'm still in the same city 10 years after. The same city that I've lived with. And I've bought 2 houses in this city.
Wow.
So You can do anything. The world, I mean, the US is, I respect this country and I pray God bless this country. It's the opportunity is crazy. It's wild. You just need to tune in and be sure you know what you're doing, asking God, asking for direction, but making sure that you're just not easily swayed. Like, oh, Trump is coming and everyone is going to Canada, then you move to Canada. Oh, Trump is coming and this everybody go this way, then you go this way. Just be careful and be careful about what you say to yourself about what you're doing. Be careful of, oh, this time is a hard time. Oh, this time is this. Oh, people are not, people are not paying school fees. They can't pay school fees. Oh, they're coming back home. People are deported. Be careful of what you say because, there are just witnesses around us all the time that take what you say. So be positive. Think about your decision. Pray to God. And I pray God helps you.
Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Oladoyin Taiwo, your parting short advice for international students.
Okay, I'll link it back to what Nika has said. I'm a person of faith, as you can tell. That's why church paid for what I did. So, I'll link it back to, because I said it's so easy. Oh, a church, it rolled off my mouth, a church paid for. It was actually in the place of prayer. I was like, oh, you know what? God, what's going on here? Like, I cannot work all these hours. I need to pay these fees. I remember that day I can never forget. I was kneeling in my living room, well, in my mother's living room. I had a soft landing because I had accommodation in my mother's house. And I was kneeling there and praying that day and was just telling myself that, God, I don't know I don't know how, but this is in your hands and all of that to make up for all of the things I need to do. I got up from that place of prayer and my phone rang, and it was the pastor from the church that I had attended just like, I think the Sunday before. Today, that day was like a Wednesday, and said, oh, my team members said we should invite you to come and work with us. I'm like, where does that, like, you don't know me, I don't know you. I'm not trying to like work in a church. So why you? And before I got up from there, I heard, as in clearly, I heard, go and work in the church office. And I was like, church office, I've been there before. It's a very small place. It doesn't even compare to where I'm coming from in terms of work from Nigeria. My human head was trying to like figure it out. And I just smiled and said, okay, I'll volunteer from Mondays to Wednesdays. And I think I'd gone like a week or two when they were like, oh, what's your most pressing need right now? And I said that, oh, I'll be glad if I got a scholarship for school. Oh, sure, we can take care of that. That was the end of so then I started having to work full time and all of that, and just basically did all that I needed to do to be able to go through school. So I'll say that place of prayer, be intentional and keep a close relationship with God, because you asked about what the future of holds or something. There's a God that owns the future. So that's the person who knows beyond Trump, knows beyond all the politicking and all of those things. I actually got stranded in Nigeria because of Trump's policies, because I'd been approved to come back for a period of time. But when he said Nigerians were banned from coming to the US in those times too. So that was something that affected and just kept my process sitting on their table for another period of years when it was done, until Biden came to the rescue. So all of those things are just things that I would say that trust God, believe God, do your research. And I'm in marketing, so I'm very big on personal branding. Always put together your portfolio for you to be able to tell your story in transferable skills whenever you need to get to where you want to go to. Tying it together eventually helps you in your path and takes you to your destination. So I wish you well, and I pray that God be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Oladoyin, for sharing your very interesting and impactful submissions. Also speaking on the role of faith in all of this. At the end of the day, it's really key for people who are believers. So this is really, truly impactful. I think that if we're paying for this, we'll be paying how much, but this is for free. So we've had all of you here and you stayed with us early hours of your morning. So we truly want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. We hope that you have a very fulfilling Christmas season and whatnot.